I will die on that hill.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
You have failed this.
Love this show.
The sickest night ever.
Is this?
What are we doing?
No. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise, 3-time podcast host, the middle child, and Colton. I want to welcome you back after your short 1-episode hiatus. I know you were sick, but man, I just want to know how you're feeling. How are you feeling now? Are you better? Are you worse? Are you on the amends? Are you just like feeling it?
Well, if I had a regret right now, I would definitely say I was feeling it. But it's a lyric talk for you there. But anywho, no, I'm feeling a lot better. The voice is back, obviously. I mean, I called you, I think, day of when I couldn't do it. And it sounded like I just got done with my third pack.
Yeah.
And it was rough. I was that way for a couple days and got ready to be like, okay, let's go muster up the energy to go do this, and got sick. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, you called me on Wednesday and started talking, and you sounded absolutely terrible. And then I just get a text on the record night, and you're like, yep, not happening. And I was like, all right, this is going to happen without Colton. I was already ready to go. I was rearing. And you know what, Sydney, I know you're going to listen to this. Well, you're going to watch this. I just want to tell you, you did a phenomenal job explaining, talking about our vacation, Disney in general, all of the stuff that went along with it. You did a great job. And I've been told since the beginning of the call, guys, that we need a female voice. And you know what? She did a phenomenal job. And I'm proud of her. And I know that she's a SLP and she works with people to talk all the time. So of course she's going to be able to talk. And that's just a person she is. So I was happy. That episode turned out great. It was a great conversation. The video was fun to watch back. A little laggy on YouTube. Sorry for everybody that watched it on YouTube. The video was a little bit laggy, but it was still fun to just watch it together because we spent that whole week together, and watching it back was a cool feeling to see it and watch it with her for the first time. So.
No, I was getting ready to say, Gunnar, you did an awesome job, quote unquote, going solo. So great job there. But more importantly, Sid did a fantastic job. I think you hit every point I wanted to say about her. She just did a great job. And I can't wait to have her back on because I had so many Marvel questions for her. And I was actually low key, I was going to try to slide in Sarah and try to make it a Bridgerton episode.
Just switch.
I had a buddy of mine that I was gonna add into the Zoom.
That would have been hilarious. Just mid-episode, we're like, "What is going on?"
Sarah just walks in and she just takes the headphones off of you.
Yeah.
It would have been great.
That would have been hilarious. Well, I'm glad you didn't because that episode turned out great. I have gotten some feedback on it saying, it was a lot of information. Like we didn't really understand what was going on, but I mean, Disney's a lot. It is. And you go and it's a lot to take in. It's a lot to do. And we tried to fit it in an 1.5-hour episode. And I understand it was a lot, but I'm happy for everybody that listened to it. And Sid shared it on Instagram and Facebook. And I mean, that got us quite a few downloads. So
nice.
Yeah, I just want to thank her for that and thank her for coming on and hosting with me. And
thank you, Sid.
I was a quote unquote solo host with a guest host, and she did phenomenal. So if you haven't listened to that episode and you're listening to this one, go back, check out the Disney episode. Let us know what you think. Send that email to thecallguyspodcast
even if you're just thinking about making that trip to Disney and getting involved. I think she did a fantastic job of explaining like all the ins and outs of how to do Disney in certain ways.
100%. From the point of like literally the transportation to like the bands you wear on your wrist to get into the fast lanes, and all of that stuff. She does a amazing job, and that's what I wanted her on for, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are gonna vacation to Disney this winter, and that's the prime time to go.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's important for people to know what they can and can't do when they go to Disney, and I think that more than anything, it's helpful. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. So the other part of that intro, obviously, I am the middle child of my family. And Colton, I have a question for you.
What's up?
You're the youngest child in your family.
Oh gosh.
Do you fit any of the stereotypes of the youngest child? Like,
If you're
lazy
asking my
or-
sisters, I hit every single one of them.
See,
Every single one. Give me some of the stereotypical things of a quote unquote youngest child.
I think the youngest child is the quote unquote naughty and the lazy and doesn't do anything and always makes an excuse. That's what I think the middle child is.
Holy crap, I'm telling you. Oh, the middle child or the youngest child?
The youngest child, sorry. Youngest.
Oh, okay. Man. Like I said, if you're asking my sisters, I'd probably hit every single one of those with striving numbers.
Right on.
It's funny to talk about with my sisters. I think one of the funniest things I point out is that my sisters both have a favorite brother and a favorite sister, but I get to choose who my favorite sister is.
Yeah.
So I remind them of that whenever there's something that needs to be made.
Yeah. See, I am the middle child, and I don't know exactly what the stereotypes are for a middle child other
Forgotten.
than suck up, forgotten, all that stuff. Like, I've always heard that the oldest child's like the one that is like always like the kiss ass of the family, right? That was me. And I know it for sure. Like, I was always like, what do you need me to do? I'll clean the house. I'll do whatever you need me to do. Just tell me. And I would do it. And I always fell into that group of like I should have maybe been the oldest child because I was always doing something for mom and dad. But I was the one that always got in trouble, so it doesn't make any sense. So
Oh yeah, I got pinned for a lot of things.
yeah, but no, I was just one of those things. It's always curious, especially in families that have multiple children, which child is the best child. Like,
Well, yeah, who's favorite, and
Mhm.
yeah, I would like to say that I wasn't the favorite, but I know I was the favorite. For a ton of reasons. And my sisters obviously probably have them all memorized.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I guess if anybody ever sees one of them, just ask them, and they'll throw me under the bus to make sure every tread hits me. Not tire, but tread on the tire hits
Yeah.
me.
See, my sister just despises me as a human because of how big of a kiss ass I was growing up. And
Wow.
the thing is, I don't think I was a quote unquote kiss ass. I was more like, I just want to help out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they saw it differently. So, but
makes sense.
look at where we are now.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm looking at you, Montana. No.
That's great.
So other than being sick, Colton, how was your week? Did you have a good week?
See, Monday night softball's over. That ended pretty well. Won the tournament, so that was fun.
I heard Lucas hit a homer.
Oh, that was Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lucas finally hit one. I hit two that game, but Lucas hit his first one of the season.
He said that your jaw just dropped. Like,
okay, so
what?
So I make the lineups for Tuesday night, and we've been getting killed like every game. So I was like, you know what? I'm done trying. I pop up an app because I normally do it with like a deck of cards.
Yeah.
And I just draw out cards, and whatever card you get, that's your batting spot.
Nice.
So I didn't have any cards, so I pulled up a random number generator, and I think Lucas, I can't remember if he didn't say he didn't want to bat first or he didn't care or something like that. So I said, Lucas, you're batting first. So I put I think I drew like second or third or something like that.
Nice.
And yeah, Lucas gets up and barely gets one over the fence, and everybody just explodes with, excitement and
Yeah.
because it wasn't me that did it,
Yeah.
and I just stood there, pat on my shoulder, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Dude, I bet he bragged about that the entire rest of the time.
He showed me his call list because I didn't believe him when he told me, because I asked him. I said, Lucas, did you call Sid on the way home? He said, I called my mom, I called my dad, I called my brother. I was like, no, you didn't. Like, it's no. He's like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. We don't do this. And I was like, who's we? Like, it gets into this deep philosophical family question. I opened
Yeah.
up with him hitting a home
We
run,
don't do this.
and I was like, what?
Well, we all know Lucas is an athlete or was an athlete in high school, and
Alleged
we all know he
athlete.
was good at the stuff that he did play and do. And I'm not saying it surprises me, but high school Lucas couldn't have put one out of the park. Lucas, we love you. Thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast.
I'll say this: Lucas barely put his over the fence. Mine almost cleared a road.
My gosh. Well, I'm proud of him. I'm happy he finally.
I'm
finally
happy
hit
for
one.
him too, because I've got another week of it and I'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, man, outside of that, yeah, man, just starting to wind down. So my softball leagues are done after next week.
Yeah.
So just going back to the dad thing, and William's kind of sick. He just got a runny nose and he just can't kick it yet, so that's fun. And just celebrated our 4th anniversary.
That's what Dad was asking what year it was, and I was like, I think it's 3. It's 4. It's 4 years.
4
years,
years.
man. Congratulations.
Thank you. They've all been wonderful each and every day. No problems whatsoever.
That was the look of belief, I swear.
The look of belief.
Listen. I am almost a month away from 1 year. And if I believed that, I wouldn't have made that face. Because I've learned a lot in the first year, and man, there's some challenges, that's for sure.
I'm not gonna say you're 3 years behind, but let me tell you, wait till those 3 years catch up to you, and then you'll be saying, man,
Man.
There's still more to learn.
I like it.
But yeah, so we did that. We went to a place called Club Soda in Fort Wayne.
Nice.
Had a really good dinner. Man, that was good. We should go there sometime.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Oh man, super expensive.
No, I bet. If it was that good and you're like that was good, yeah, it's probably.
I'll send you a I'll send you a picture of what I ate, and
Yeah.
I'll let you guess the price.
Okay.
Type of game. But yeah, no, man. Just outside of that, hanging out. Let's see. When this airs, my grandmother's funeral and viewing and all that fun stuff is the weekend before, so a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So we're going through that, and that was pretty good. She was 86. I would say she lived a good life. So.
And we talked about that before. 86. I mean, you lived up to 86. You've lived a life that had to be worth something to a lot of people. So.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I think we got family coming in from Tennessee, Florida, maybe Illinois and California.
Yeah, well,
just kind of depends, but so yeah, hopefully we get a lot of people to show up and we have a good quote unquote family reunion. That's not the most fun to have a reunion for, but
yeah,
like we kind of believe that this isn't the end, so it's not goodbye. It's just until next time. So
yeah. Well, like I told you before, all the thoughts and love and everything goes out to you guys. So
appreciate that, brother.
Hopefully everything goes well and it's not too sad and everybody kind of rejoices in that moment instead of.
Oh yeah, no man. Like I said, it's not goodbye. It's just until next time. So
yeah,
like I said, we knew this day would come. So
Right
It
on.
is what it is, brother.
Right on. Right on. Every time I say right on now, I'm gonna think of
You're
you
gonna
telling
think
me.
about it. Okay, so the backstory. I was talking to Gunner this week, and I was like, dude, I could tell when you and the Emperor are like, you don't know what to say other than just move it along to the next thing. And I've got it down. Like when you guys say certain phrases, I'm like, okay, that means they're done with this conversation. But they don't know how to transition it.
The two words. Right on.
Right on. Right on.
Right on.
I hear every time your dad, I'll be honest, every time the Emperor does it, I laugh.
Yeah.
Because I can just tell.
Yeah. I mean,
But I never don't think like whenever he says it, I don't ever think that he's like saying it like out of like,
like,
okay,
please
shut
move
up.
on.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
let's
like,
move
yeah,
on.
like please move on. It's always just like it feels kind of like a respectful, like,
Right
okay, that's
on.
cool. Like it's a respectful, like, okay, that's cool. Now let's change the subject. Like
Yeah. So
so
right on. My week was great. No, it really like I had a great week. There's a lot of stuff going on at work and I'm off to PA. So when this airs, I'll be on the road again, heading off to PA. Next week's episode will be from the hotel.
okay.
So we will record that episode while I am sitting in a different desk in a different chair with different lighting and all that good stuff. And I think this is probably one of my last trips going out there, which is good. I think that they are ready to do it themselves. I'm always there for support. That's my job. I'm there to support them. So
Okay.
I'm just excited for them. I put a lot of work in, and I know my boss has put a lot of work in, and everybody out there has put a lot of work in. And like I said, I'm proud of them. I'm ready to make my last trip out there. Shake some hands, kiss some babies, all that good stuff.
I was just getting ready to say, are you gonna kiss some babies too?
That's right. But other than that, I mean, it's been around the house has been kind of, busy, and we're trying to get some stuff cleaned up and done before winter comes. Really clean up the house and make it look nice. And winter and fall are my two favorite seasons, and I really enjoy fall because of how the weather is, and our anniversary is in the fall, and we're heading down to Spring Mill with the parents for a weekend and got an Airbnb down there, gonna hike some trails,
Nice.
do some caving, and just relax. And I'm excited to move on. Football season's on full blast. We got preseason ending coming up here in a couple weeks. Full season is gonna start. I'm just excited to watch some football. And I always think about the start of the football season. And when we first moved into our house, I remember having the couch and a TV and a coffee table and not much else in the house, but being able to have football on during the fall and just to relax, sit back and enjoy it, and knowing I had a ton of other stuff to do, but it was time to relax and watch the Chiefs. That was something that really has stuck with me my whole life. For one, football season starts, it's time for that time of the year where you're not going to be doing yard work every day. You're not going to be worrying about what's happening outside. You're going to be in your house in the warm, under a blanket, watching football, watching movies, whatever it is. And that's why I love fall so much, and winter, obviously. But I'm just excited for that time to come. And now is the time where it's like getting all the work done is important. So, and I'm
Yes,
sure you
sir.
feel the same way because it really is cleaning up the yard, cleaning up the mulch, cleaning up the gutters, cleaning up the roof. Like all that stuff is important right now before winter
Yep.
comes and
You're
freeze
not wrong,
starts.
brother. You are not wrong.
The man who takes care of your HVAC needs knows that it's time to make sure everything's okay before the freeze comes, before it starts to snow.
The best advice I will give anybody is when we get here in Indiana, whenever we get that first like mid 30s, low 40s type of night and morning, is turn your furnace on and make sure it works.
Yep.
because when it becomes that temperature or worse on a consistent basis, you don't want to then find out your furnace isn't running. So that's my best advice I can give, because it could be something as simple as an igniter or flame sensor, which is anywhere from like, 15, $30. Um, so outside of that, I mean, it could be something more. So you just never know, but you'd rather find out when the next day is going to be somewhere in the 50s to 60s instead of the 20s to 30s. So
Listen to my guy Colton here. He knows what he's talking about.
and
No,
change
yeah.
your filter.
Change your filters. Yeah, make sure that furnace is good to go for the winter. Come on, guys, make sure it's good to go. So, Colton, right on, right on, right on. I do have a few things I want to hit on before we get into what we're talking about today. And this has
because
been
I have something else I want to hit on, but I'll let you go first, sir.
okay. So let me hit on my things. I'll let you hit on your thing. We'll get into what we're going to talk about today. It shouldn't be too long of an episode. Obviously, this has been a super long intro, but you know what? It's
gonna get
almost
longer.
2 weeks. Almost 2 weeks since I've actually talked to my man here, and I'm excited to be back on the call, guys, with Colton. It's weird not having a co-host. It really is. But like I said, Sid, great job. So over the past couple weeks, we have received some emails from some fans of the Call Guys podcast.
What?
And I just wanted to hit on some of those emails because, like we've told you, if you send us an email, we will read it on the air and we will let you know what your top 5 sports films are, top 3 musicals, whatever you want us to read online.
Whatever.
And recommendations. Recommendations are another thing. If you send a recommendation, we will read it online. So the first one was from somebody that I would call my sister. I've known her all my life. Her dad, my mom are just best friends. I've known her forever. And she has started listening to the Call Guys. And she actually texted me and said, "Hey, I listened to this episode. I listened to this episode." So
That's awesome.
Arian, you've been a part of my family for as long as I can remember. And I just wanted to read off what you'd sent us through email. So she had actually suggested an episode idea for top 5 Disney movies, which
Nice.
I think is a phenomenal idea. It's actually not in the schedule, but we have talked about it before.
We have
a couple times. So
done.
I love
It's
Disney
in.
movies. I know Colton loves Disney movies because him and his son watch them all the time.
We're getting ready to go through Cars again.
Hey, that's okay. And she has a young son, and she has a newborn, 2 months old as of last weekend. So I mean, yeah, Disney movies for sure going on the schedule. It might be 20 episodes out, but it'll be on the schedule. She also shared with us her top 3 musicals and top 3 TV shows.
Oh, okay. Let's hear them.
So musicals, she's got 3, 2, 1. Greatest
Nice.
Showman, Burlesque, Rent.
Burlesque,
phenomenal. Christina Aguilera.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a Christina Aguilera. Okay,
Emperor.
Stop with. I was gonna say.
And then TV shows, she's got How I Met Your Mother, Gilmore Girls, which is my guilty pleasure TV show. I love Gilmore Girls.
I was just getting ready to say that. I remember when I got it, like it was one of those shows that my wife just had on the background, and
Yeah.
I think we actually watched that when we were dating, and it was just something always she had on, and it was always something I kind of like blew off because I'm like, Gilmore Girls, blah blah blah. But when she went to college, boy oh boy, did I become super invested in the storyline then.
Yeah.
Because I was hooked. Done.
You got Rory and Lorelai, and if I could remember the actresses' names that played them, I would definitely say them. And then you've got Milo, who was in what's the show he was in? The big one, the newest show he was in.
We're terrible.
I know. It's so bad. But I love Gilmore Girls. I love the relationship Rory has with her grandpa. That's been one of my favorite relationships over any show I've ever watched in my life.
Interesting.
But then her number one was Friends, which I've watched a lot of Friends. I'm not super into Friends, but Arian, thank you for sending us an email on a
Yes, thank you
recommendation
so much.
and your top threes for musicals and TV shows.
Hey, make sure we give her a shout out when we do that episode.
Oh yeah,
Put it in
100%.
put it in the notes.
We will. And then we also received an email from Dwayne, who is my good friend from Pennsylvania, who is our plant manager out there in PA. He
Nice.
suggested an episode.
Okay.
Top 5 professional wrestlers.
Wow. I would have to do some research on that. I didn't really
Oh yeah, that's
my only experience with
old school.
would be, yeah, it would be old school, but I was probably 8 or 10 and I was in my aunt and uncle lived in Tennessee and we went to this Walmart parking lot and watched wrestling. Not wrestling, it was wrestling.
Wrestling. Right
we ate at the Burger King next door and I got sick.
Cold's got good wrestling memories. So
Uh,
thank you for recommending an episode. We will try to fit that in. We're both gonna have to do some research. Like I said, I'm more into very, very old school wrestling. So, and well, not anymore, but I was back then. You know, all The Rock and Al Snow, and oh, cameras are hard. No, I'm just kidding. Mankind. You know, all those guys back in the day that we used to watch a lot when my dad was super into wrestling. Because as many of you know, my dad's dad, my grandpa, was a wrestler. And, you know, I've met Al Snow and he wrestled with a lot of those professionals. And it's something that wasn't a huge part of my life, but has definitely been a part of my life. So, and then Colton, the last one I had before you talk about what you need to talk about is Rob, who was a guest on the Indiana Chiefs fans podcast a few weeks ago, sent
nice.
us his top 5 favorite actors.
Ooh, okay.
And in no particular order because I think I typed them out weird. He's got Jimmy Stewart, Tom
Okay.
Hanks,
Okay.
Denzel Washington,
Oh, good one.
Adam Sandler, and then Robin Williams. So, Rob, thank you, and I really appreciate
Solid
you.
list.
I appreciate you coming on Indiana Chiefs fans podcast. It was such a good time having you on there, and hopefully have you on there, and maybe on a possible Call Guys episode in the future. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
great list. Great list. Denzel Washington. Totally forgot about that. That's a
Yeah.
great one.
yeah. So anybody out there that wants to send us their top 3s, top 5s, top 10s, like I said, send it over to thecallguyspodcast at gmail.com.
Nice.
Colton, what you got?
I've got something I've been festering. Just festering in my soul. Yes. Yes. For those who don't know, Gunner is a 3-time podcast host. What was that third show? What was that third show that made you a 3-timer?
Yeah, Golden Image Podcast.
Keep-
No, just kidding.
Can you tell me what that podcast name is?
That is the Indiana Chiefs fans podcast.
Indiana Chiefs fans. You know what?
IN
I have
Chiefs fans
nothing-
pods. Facebook.com/IN
I
Chiefs
ha-
fans pod.
I have nothing to do on Tuesday mornings, the majority of the time. So they release on Tuesdays. Thank you, Emperor, for that. You have an episode every day of the week now. Good job. Good planning. It's almost like you meant it. But let me tell you something. I have turned into the Skywalker when I listen to this podcast. All right?
Skywalker.
Okay? So the Skywalker and I have something in common now. The rage that fills my vehicle can fuel the DeLorean 15 times. Okay? If I hear ever again about Matt Naggy being a good coach, okay? So I'm just not going to take that anymore. All right? Because it's not fair to some people I know that have to say and listen to the blasphemous that comes out of your mouth when you talk about Mr. Coach Nathaniel Nagy. Yeah, I know I
Nathaniel.
said his name wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know why? You know why it doesn't matter? Let me tell you why. It doesn't matter, okay? That joker of a coach barely made 500, all right? Because let me tell you what he did. He only had one good season. It wasn't even with the guys he had. It was the first season he had. Everything else was crap. He sucked as a coach. 0-2 in the playoffs. 500 his whole career, besides the first season. The first season he went 12-4. 12-4, okay? Oh, with this BU mentality on the offensive side of the ball. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Nagy, being you, what that did for you. Okay? Because it took one of the best Bears defense since Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs were in the middle there, running the show with Peanut Tillman in the back, just causing havoc. You pissed it away, son. You pissed it away. Why? Because you were trying to be you. Bull butter. I cannot stand you as a head coach. And you know where it really boils down to? You know what it really boils down to? You aren't ready for a head coaching job. Okay? And I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying to be soft because I have heard that Virginia McCluskey is not doing well health-wise. So I'm trying not to step on too many toes there and be too rough with management and ownership. But you want to talk about yet another miss of hiring leadership was with Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. Those two together did absolutely nothing. They wasted the best years after they got and worked with, and they got Khalil Mack from the Raiders for nothing almost. And they piss it all away. Every year his offensive numbers went down. His averages went down because he sucked. And our defense stayed top 5. They were the 11th best defense one time. Every other year, top 5. Top 5 fucking defense. And we can't put points on the board. What good does it do to hold a team to 17 points when you can't score 17? What does that mean? So if I hear it one more time coming out of the Emperor's mouth or the other jalopy that's on there that talks positively about Matt Nagy as a head coach, because the only thing he's going to do over there in Kansas City again is hold Patrick Mahomes' jockstrap when he comes off the field and he's not doing anything because he just ran a 3-minute drill and scored a touchdown because that's what he does. Okay? So I don't want to listen to you ever talk about Matt Nagy saying, oh, well, he got the bad rap. He gets a bad rap for this. He gets, it's just another Bears management that sucks again. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't, because every new coach we bring in is the next savior, is the next Ditka to come back. And the 85 Bears ain't walking through no dang doors anymore. They're getting wheeled through doors, let alone knowing if they know they're going through a door right now. Okay? Because I'm telling you, I swear, if I hear any more Nagy apologist talk, I'm done. Okay?
Dude.
What?
You should be on the Pat McAfee show right now. I'm going to send this clip to Pat McAfee.
Do it. Because I'm tired of it. I am tired of it. The Nagy years, talk about, leader of men. He ain't a leader of anything. I don't know why Kansas City hired him back. He must have pictures of somebody in the front office, is all I'm going to say. Because I'm telling you, you want to talk about leaving behind absolute carnage and wreckage. Go back and look at some of the articles in Chicago that talked about how he handled the quarterback room with Mitchell Trubisky. And that's why I want him to succeed, is to give a big old middle finger to Matt Nagy, because you want to talk about somebody who held him back and put him down every step of the way. It was Matt Nagy that screwed Mitchell Trubisky up. It wasn't anything else. You don't. It. You.
Uh,
He left a super young quarterback high and dry for no reason other than just to save his own self. And I hope he never gets a job ever again. I hope he doesn't. I hope he stays the quarterback coach at Kansas City for as long as Patrick Mahomes is there. So that way he can feel good about the life he's lived and how crap it is that he tried to be a leader of men when he can't even lead the freaking Cowboys out on the field.
right on. Listen,
So, Emperor, if you've got something wrong with what that was said, put me on the pod. I am ready. I've got stats to prove everything. Stats to prove that Naggy just sucks. Sucks. Right on, though.
right on. Right on. So let's digress a little bit. Let's cool it down. Indiana Chiefs Fans Podcast, Facebook.com/IN Chiefs Fans Pod. Go check us out. We are Indiana. We live in Indiana. We are Chiefs fans. That is the name of the pod. That is what we do. If you are watching the YouTube right now, you saw the beginning of that Colton rant there about Naggy and about what the Emperor has said on the Indiana Chiefs Fans Podcast. About Nagy coming in and being our quarterback coach, which I think isn't necessarily a terrible thing. I think, watching the franchise and watching him on the field, he will do good as a coach. But what can you really do for Patrick Mahomes, who is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the NFL right now? And obviously, we are not a sports podcast. We're not whatever. And I'm just here to say that I'm not upset that we pulled Nagy, but I'm hoping the Bears do great this year. Like, not even, I'm serious. I hope they pull something together this year. So
3 years, man. 3 years.
3 years.
3 years. I'm not expecting big things this year. Our offensive line is garbage, and we have a bunch of number 2 and 3 receivers, type receivers on the roster for Fields. Montgomery and Khalil are the real deal. Our Herbert, oh gosh, I can't think of our backup running back. We have 2 really good running backs right now under contract for the next couple of years. Fields, I think, is on the right way. He's going to progress, but we need a stud number 1 receiver, and our defense will somehow be okay as long as management comes out and somehow gets Roquan Smith back in line and gets him under contract. And then after that, man, I think we'll be fine, but he set us back 5 years.
It takes time.
Don't put him in any type of
limelight
managerial
or spotlight or
don't give him any power to do anything other than decide when the ball boys come out for Patrick.
Right on. I did not mean to say it that time either.
It's too funny.
So Colton, before we get into what we're going to talk about today, because we have drugged this introduction out so long, and you know what? I'm just glad we're here together doing this podcast. I'm happy you are here with me this weekend, not sick, not feeling like crap. I would love to have Sydney back. If she was here, you know what? She could be here, but we are here. We're doing the podcast. We're having a good time. I do have a question of the pod. And it's a quick and easy one.
Okay.
Colton, the question of the podcast tonight. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
I wanted to be an airplane pilot.
You wanted to be a pilot?
Wanted to be a pilot.
Like jets or just 757s?
Anything that had me flying.
Anything had you in the air?
Mm-hmm.
Any particular reason?
I remember when we first went to Disney, I was a little kid, and I remember, getting there early in the morning to make sure we got there, and I remember getting a pair of wings as we were checking our bags in. And I don't know, something about that. I love to fly. I think it's fun. I love takeoffs. I love landings. I love everything about flying. I remember going to Mr. Rayner's office their freshman year and asking me what I'd like to do with my life. And I said, you know, I think I'd like to do flying. Like, how do I go to college? What should I do to go to college in order to become a pilot? And he's like, well, Purdue has a really good flying program that's close by. And I said, well, I don't know if I want to go to Purdue. Huge is what I thought. So, but no, that was always kind of like the backup plan. And well, it was always it was the first plan until it became the backup plan
Yeah.
with basketball coming into the mix. But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. What about you, brother?
You know, my answer is pretty simple. And I grew up watching my parents play music, and I always wanted to be a rock and roll drummer. Didn't care how I got there. I wanted to be a famous drummer, watching Travis Barker, Peter Criss, Mike Portnoy, all these guys that drummed their entire lives and just became these big, phenomenal drummers. I wanted to strive to become that. And you know, I put a lot of work in growing up. I didn't put as much work in as I should have. But watching my parents and knowing that they really loved what they did made me want to be a rock star.
It's pretty cool.
That was the thing. And I always wanted to do that. My parents always played music. I loved music. I just wanted to go out and play music. And I did in college a little bit, but you know, after graduating, we played a couple little small gigs, you know, the Families Helping Families benefit or weddings or whatever it was. And speaking of Families Helping Families, it is coming up here in a few weeks, and you should all go check that out. We're going to do a couple live shows with my dad on Facebook. So when those come around, check those out because it's a really important thing. So, you know, you go to this, it's the Solid Rock Church in Rochester, donate some diapers, donate some wipes, donate whatever. That's not what I'm trying to get at with this explanation, but it just came into my head as I was saying it. But
it's
yeah,
a good cause. It's a good cause to promote, man.
it really is. Helps out any, you know, mothers that need those things for their kids. So it's important. But no, I just always wanted to be a famous drummer. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to play the drums in a band and tour. And
That
I
seems
never
pretty
got
cool.
to do it. I never got to do it. But you know what I did get to do?
What'd you get to do, brother?
I got to watch a lot of movies about music.
Whoa.
And you know what we're gonna talk about today?
What are we talking about today, brother?
We're going to do our top 3 movies about music. And we're going to do this in official Call Guys style. 3, 2, honorable mentions, 1. And we're just going to explain what we think are the best movies about music. Now, we do have some stipulations alongside what we chose. They don't necessarily have to be a documentary. They don't need to be all about the music. They can be a drama. They can be a documentary. We prefer that there is some sort of album connected to the film. The music has to be a huge part of how the story progresses throughout the film. And it can be a musical.
Ooh.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the sound of a Guinness. One of the most beautiful stouts ever created by man.
Oh, is it?
Pours heavy,
Oh.
tastes like chocolate. If you've never had a Guinness, I guarantee you'll love it. Go buy one at the store now. Take it home. Pour it in a glass. Let it settle. Get a nice head. Take a sip. Enjoy. Colton.
That's my problem. I have a hard time sipping it.
Yeah, I've watched him chug one earlier. Colton, would you like me to start this week? Because I feel like you've started every week we've done a list.
Well, I'll tell you this. Here's what happens. You give a beautiful intro into the topic that we're going to discuss. And then you say, Colton, start us off.
Yeah.
So yes, if you'd like, we can start with you, sir. Gunner, what is your number 3?
My number 3 surprisingly is not in my top 10 movies of all time because I love this movie. It is a cool story. It's adapted into theater. It's adapted into a Disney Channel original. I think it was Disney. It might have been Nickelodeon. I don't remember.
Ooh,
But
I'm intrigued.
this movie, 2003, starring Jack Black and Miranda Cosgrove, is one of my favorite movies of all time. The School of Rock. And I cannot say enough about how this movie makes me feel. I grew up watching it. I love Jack Black. I love Tenacious D. I love Kyle Gass. As a kid, I was in love with Miranda Cosgrove. Absolutely love her. Drake and Josh. She went to iCarly. She was in School of Rock. Like, there were so many things about Miranda Cosgrove that really drew me in. And, this movie was one of those things. I love the soundtrack. I love the movie. The music's great. I love the relationship that Jack has with the kids. Everything that goes on up to the point where they go to the Battle of the Bands, he faces his old band, the music that he plays, and everything that he does teaching these kids how to play music is everything I wished I would have had growing up, becoming a musician, and just having that person that was there to be like, you can do it. You're good. I know you can do it. Let's go rock it out. Let's go kick some ass. Let's rock. Let's rock today. And that is what my life motto should be, because this movie is one of those movies that I can watch over and over and over again. Rewatchable, as we've said in past episodes. I'm surprised it wasn't on one of our lists. It came into my mind today when I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I love that movie.
It's a great movie.
Oh, phenomenal. There's when they go to the Battle of the Bands and he announces that Zach is going to shred on the guitar, Zach Mooneyham, and he starts shredding, and you're just like, oh my gosh. Such and you're not hardcore.
You're not hardcore
Unless you live hardcore.
unless you live hardcore.
Because the legend of
The rent was way hardcore.
Yeah. Phenomenal movie. Colton,
It's a great one.
give me your number 3.
Wow. All mine are kind of documentaries, I would say.
Yeah.
So School of Rock is actually in my honorable mention. I will mention that later though. But yeah, great number 3. My number 3 is it's a documentary on Frank Sinatra called All or Nothing. And I love Rat Pack music, anything with Dean, anything with Frank, anything with Sammy. I just love that big band sound. I just love the sound of that music that they had. And this one kind of shed a lot of light that I didn't know about Frank. And a lot of it was kind of depressing because he was kind of not the nicest dude.
Yeah.
But it's nice to have that perspective of, this is what he was and this is what he did, because obviously Frank Sinatra, he was big back in the 50s and 60s. I mean, that's just it's just unfortunately how the time was for people like him, is they kind of thought they could kind of get away with stuff. And then there's a urban legend that he was tied in with the mob, and that's how he got in. And I love anything mob related, so I like to believe that he got in thanks to the mob.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a 2-part series. Really good insight on him, and it gave me, like I said, it kind of, to me, diminished him a little bit because of just what he was outside of the stage and him performing. But all in all, I still love his music, and I'd still listen to every album that he would play. So, actually, behind my shoulder right there is Frank Sinatra's greatest hit album.
Yeah,
so.
it's funny you talk about Sinatra. He's literally over your shoulder every
Exactly.
week. We're on the Call Guys. So
So, yeah, Sinatra. So All or Nothing. I believe I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore, but it came out in like 2015, so it might still be on there. If any Rat Pack listeners are on this show and they big Frank fans, I would definitely give them the go ahead to watch it, and because it really dives into his personal life and stuff like that. And
I have
I
to
thought it
check
was
that
really
out.
good. So,
You have to check it out.
so, so yeah, man. How about your number two? Does it make you cry?
Um, you know, my number 2 does not make me cry, but I will just say that I gotta go take a piss. And that's because my number 2 movie is right here behind me. It is Rockstar, starring my boy, Marky Mark. And this movie has always been one of my favorites because, for one, the soundtrack to this movie is phenomenal. The music is just great. And I've always enjoyed the story. It's Marky Mark, Jennifer Aniston, Timothy Olyphant. Like they just all do such a phenomenal job in this. It's such a good story about a tribute band, not a cover band, a tribute band, a band that literally dresses as a band to play the exact same music, literally note for note, lyric for lyric, sound for sound. And they go out and they play these shows and they try to recreate exactly what they want to hear. Mark Wahlberg gets drafted to this band after the lead singer leaves, and he gets to, live his dream of being in this band. And his bandmates from before actually, go on and become a different act and all this stuff. So he's on living the life and touring, and Jennifer Aniston and him end up breaking up kind of and separate, and they end up not being, fond of each other. And then they come back later. He ends up getting back with Timothy Olyphant, and the guys into an acoustic act. And I want to say it's Colorful by the Verve Pipe or the Freshman. I cannot remember the exact song it is at the end of the movie, but they end up writing that song, quote unquote, and playing that song in the end. It is just it's such a good movie. It's got such a great soundtrack. It's got a good story. It's one of those movies that is in my top 10 because one, I love music. Two, Mark Wahlberg is just somebody who's influenced my life as a whole. And then it's fun to watch and fun to listen to, and the way that he mimics the actual lead singer of the original band and actually goes back and, like, there's a whole scene where he's in the studio and they're auditioning him and he matches it perfectly and he just sounds so good. It's just a good movie. I love it. I'd go back and watch it a million times if I could, because it's always been a movie that I've watched. My dad got me into it, obviously, and yeah, I just love it.
You've almost swayed me. I have a general rule when it comes to movies. If Jennifer Aniston is billed as a headlining actress, it's going to be a terrible movie.
It's
Um,
good, man. It is good.
I don't know. I've seen too many Jennifer Aniston movies to
Dude,
confer by.
the moment he's in the booth singing, I can't remember the name of the song right now, but there is an album. You can listen to it on Spotify. I'll have to bring it up and let everybody know what it is, but um there's an album you can actually listen to, and there's a song he sings while he's in the booth, and it'll just give you chills, man. It is that good. um I'm gonna see if I can find it while you go on to
I should
your number
probably
two.
watch it, since it is a top 10 movie of yours. You do speak very highly of it every time I make fun of it, and I think I should probably give it a shot just for you, brother. How about
You
that?
should. You should. Steel Dragon, We All Die Young. If you get a chance, go listen to that song. He sings that when he's in the booth, and then when they're like auditioning him. And it's one of those things where they're like, hey, he's like, he messes up the first time, he's, hey, roll it back. And then he just nails it the second time. And it's like, and then he ends up going on tour. And the final line of Mark Wahlberg, other than singing the song by the Verve Pipe, which I don't know if it's Colorful or the Freshman, he looks at the roadie and he goes, I gotta take a piss. And then he's gone. He just leaves. So super good movie. Super good movie. Colton, I highly recommend it. It's been on my wall for 24 episodes. You should go watch it.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's tough. It's tough. It's like when I think of movies, that doesn't pop up, and then I see it's Aniston, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to waste 2 hours of my life.
Look, it's not. Waste those 2 hours.
Oh my.
All right. Your number 2, Colton. Does it make you cry?
It kind of does make me cry. I probably have watched it, oh man, 3 or 4 times. Probably 2 since the passing of one of the members. And that might give it away, but that's okay. And it's called Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage. It came out in 2010, and it just talks about. I think it came out right before they did their Snakes and Airplanes album. Um, and it just kind of talked about their beginning times, and how they went from their music they made in the 60s and 70s, and then into the 80s and the 90s. And then it kind of just talked about Getty and man, to to watch it now. The last couple times I've watched it and seen Neil Peart in it, and about how he went through the struggle of losing his wife and what he did, um, and to know what he went through ultimately when he too passed away. It's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to watch that. I get choked up every time I watch it. And I'd watch it right now if it was on. Like if it's on Netflix, I'll turn it on right now and watch it. Um, but it's just it's obviously it's my favorite, one of my favorite bands,
Yeah.
and I just like how they talk about how they made their music and how they did their lyrics, and just listening to how one of my favorite bands did it and stayed together. That's kind of the crazy part of the whole thing, is that they never like, it was kind of weird, like they all like respected each other in that sense. Like when Neil wanted to step away because he wasn't feeling it anymore, um Getty and Alex were like, okay, that's cool, like we can take a break. It's like they didn't go off and do their own thing and
Yeah.
start their own stuff. It's just like, we're in this together. And I thought, man, that's just like, if I was to be in a band, I would want it to be in it like a band like Rush, and how they were in it
Yeah.
and
A
how they
family.
did
They were a
things.
family.
Yeah. So yeah, my number 2 does make me cry, but um I love that band. Any type of documentary that comes out for them, I watch it. I just love learning more about them.
Yeah.
And it sucks that I'll never get to see them. I've talked about it many times already, is that's the one band I regret not going to see. Um so yeah, if you're a huge Rush fan, I would definitely highly recommend this one. It is worth it. I think it's like only an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
it's awesome. I love it. It's a great little documentary on 'em.
Sweet.
All right, brother. How many honorable mentions you got?
So my honorable mentions range a little bit all over the place, from musicals to just straight up movies. My first one is, we've talked about it before, Across the Universe, and that is one of my favorite musicals of all time. It's a great recap of the Beatles, great covers. Jim Sturgis does a really phenomenal job of playing Jude. I love that movie. And then we have an Adam Sandler movie, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, The Wedding Singer. And I feel like that movie is about music, because he is a he plays in a wedding band. Like he is all about the music in that movie. And there's a phenomenal song at the end, which has been played at every wedding my dad has DJ'd. It's ours. And I love that song, and I cannot think of the name of it right now, but it is a phenomenal song. He plays it for Drew Barrymore, not Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore. The Wedding Singer.
I thought that was 51st Dates.
No, that her first movie with Adam Sandler was Drew Barry the Wedding Singer, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I love The Wedding Singer. I think it is a great movie. And then we also have The Doors, Jim Morrison. Um, it just is a great movie. And my uncle is a huge fan of Jim Morrison, and he's had the mural of him up on his wall. And it is one of those movies that's really attached to me, and it really is just kind of, it feels like a documentary when you watch it, but it really is just about the Doors and their music. And then also Purple Rain, which I don't know if you ever watched Purple Rain, but it is a phenomenal movie. Rock of Ages, which we have talked about before, also once again phenomenal soundtrack, great covers. The Z Guys, which we have talked about calling it the Call Guys, but we have not done that. And I just enjoy that movie. It's just phenomenal. And then my last one is A Star Is Born. Bradley Cooper.
Which one? Oh, okay. The new
Bradley
one.
Cooper, Lady Gaga. Yeah, it is a great movie, great soundtrack. My dad managed to land it at the $2 store in Warsaw, the entire vinyl, like literally the movie records. So
Wow.
yeah, for $2. So I mean, it's a great movie. It's a phenomenal movie. I love watching it, and I think it's a remake, but it is very, very, very good. Lady Gaga does a yeah, exactly. Both of them do a phenomenal job in that movie. Both of them. Colton,
Sweet.
honorable mentions.
Honestly, I like I said, I just mostly stuck with the documentaries, but my favorite, I've only got one. I mean, the movies you've mentioned, yeah, Rock of Ages, School of Rock, um, those are great. I would probably throw in a musical. I just love the soundtrack to Newsies. Um,
Yeah.
but anywho, I mostly stuck with the doc side. But one of my favorite ones that I've watched recently is called Count Me In, and it takes the trip of the drummers that started this kind of like rock and roll esque kind of drummer, how they went from a jazz drummer who was just kind of about about keeping the beat and whatnot, and not venturing off too much, and then getting to where to the likes of a Travis Barker, where it's
Yeah.
just go 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 go, and how
Yeah.
many of them, and kind of that journey. And I just thought it was really really cool. um so yeah, as a drummer, I don't know if you watch it. I believe it's on Netflix.
I have not, but I should watch that.
I think you'd enjoy it. I am terrible with drummers' names outside of Travis and Neil, but I think it's got the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Zach, is his name Zach or something like that?
No. Oh,
Oh
God.
man,
Have you ever seen the SNL skit with Will Ferrell?
I've seen. Yeah, Will. He looks like Will Ferrell. Um, he's on it, and a couple others are in on it, and then I think it has like some up and coming drummers. They all
Yeah.
get together and they play, and it's really cool.
Chad Smith.
Chad Smith, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. So that's really my honorable mention. So
I need to
so-
watch that because as a drummer, I've looked at my entire life how drummers have it evolved from being that straight up blues riff, just straight up drummer, to the jazz, to the folk, where you get all that extra stuff in there, and then to rock and roll, and then to just my metal is what I listen to 90% of the time, but just how they've evolved from the way they drum, and it is amazing. So I will go watch that. Count me in, right?
Yep, count me in.
Yeah, I will check that out.
It's pretty cool. I really enjoyed it. So Any
So,
aspiring drummers out there, I would definitely recommend it.
do you have any music dramas that you've watched over time that you really, really love? It's okay if you can't think of any.
I mean, not I can't think. I mean, I'm sure I've seen them.
Yeah,
A Star is Born is good. Oh, there was one on Netflix that we just watched. The Purple Heart.
The Purple Heart.
I
I've not
think
seen
I
it.
can't remember what it is. It's kind of interesting because it's about a Marine who gets into a fake marriage so that this gal can um pay get affordable um she's diabetic, she's a type 1, and she struggles getting her insulin. And it turns out this Marine is in debt with a drug guy, and if you're married and on leave, you get extra pay. So they get into this fake marriage so that she can get insulin for much cheaper, and he can get extra pay so then he can pay off the drug guy.
Hmm.
And I would actually, it's a good Friday night date night movie with the wife. It's really, really good. The gal who is in it, she does an original song, I think, and it's really, really good. It's kind of interesting because um, my dad is a Marine, and that's where he was at. He was out on Oceanside, and I think they lived out there for a little bit. So it'd be kind of interesting. They do some stuff in there that I thought was a little odd. Some definitely movie magic was used, but the Marines are kind of hard to get their emblem and their stuff used for in movies because they're very strict
Yeah,
about how they're portrayed. Because if they're portrayed in any negative way whatsoever, they will like say, "Yeah, you can't use the Eagle Globe and Anchor and stuff like that, and you got to kind of like use like a watered down generic version." And everything
yeah.
looked pretty cool. So I would definitely give that one a shot.
Right
I
on.
think it's called Purple Hearts or something like that, and it's pretty good.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
That and count me in. Sarah and I are gonna have a Friday night movie night. That's for sure.
there you go.
All right. So number one, Colton.
Let's hear it.
Um, my number one stars Mark Ruffalo, Keira Knightley, and Adam Levine. And we have also talked about this movie on the Call Guys before.
Black
It is,
Swan.
it is, it is Begin Again. Um, Once again, a movie with a phenomenal story. Mark Ruffalo, who is an alcoholic who just got fired from his job at a record label that is trying to sign bands, goes to a bar and finds Keira Knightley, who is just a phenomenal singer, vocalist, and guitar player. And you get into that point where he is pretty much drunk and hallucinating and seeing the music happen as Keira Knightley is playing this song. He's like, this is what it could be. This is what it could be. Well, Keira Knightley's dating Adam Levine at this point, and he has gone on tour because he became very famous as a musician. They
For
end
Queen,
up
right?
as
I'm sorry.
as himself, and they write this incredible song called Lost Stars together, which he takes and he just completely ruins. But I love his version of that song. She does a great acoustic version of that song. Well, Mark Ruffalo ends up recording an album in the natural sounds of the city with Keira Knightley, and you get this great album. You get this great story. You get this great movie that stars all of them, and that is Begin Again. And I love that movie. The Emperor loves that movie. I could watch it over and over and over again. Definitely a highly recommended movie. Mark Ruffalo, we all love him as the Hulk, but if you watch this movie, you will really like this movie. Almost guaranteed.
Okay,
So yeah, watch it, Colton, because I'm sure you haven't seen it before.
you're absolutely right.
Number one.
So my number one is an Ernie Ball documentary. Most people who are music people know the brand Ernie Ball is.
Yep.
And they did these documentaries back in around the mid 2010s. And of course, go figure, my favorite one is on Tom DeLonge. The
Yep.
not ex, to him, he's not an ex Blink 182 member, but to everybody else in the world, he is. But call it for what it is. He is an ex Blink, the lead guitarist for Blink. And it pretty much is a documentary of him as an artist and how he got started when he was living in San Diego and when he transferred schools and he met Mark and Scott was there, and they talk about their rise and everything that went into it, and how he wrote music, how he wrote riffs. Like, one of my, if anybody knows me as a guitar player, I only know how to play Blink 182 riffs. That's it. And power chords. That's it. I don't know anything else.
Yep.
I know nothing else, but if there's a famous Blink riff, I could probably play it for you. And like, to learn that his song "Damn It," which is kind of one of their first big ones that kind of came out for the MTV world at the time. He wrote that because his bottom 3 strings on his guitar was broke. And I just thought that was really cool to learn that little fact. And so, and then it talks about his episode is it's called The Pursuit of Tone. And anybody who knows anything about Tom DeLonge, is that dude is, I don't want to say he's OCD on his sound and the sound of that comes out of his guitars, but he is borderline OCD on what he makes. And he talks about making pedals and using pedals and what he likes to hear and what he wants to hear and how he came up with certain things. And when he branched out and did when he first did a Boxcar Racer, about how that really went hard and heavy with the distortion and everything like that. And then it went from that to time delays and loops, really, with Angels and Airwaves. And he talks about how that kind of stuff helped him write better music in his eyes and really furthered him along as an artist. And he loves Blink, but to him, Blink was just nursery rhymes on cocaine. And with Angels and Airwaves, he was really able to utilize what he loved to do, which was to make sound into music. And it was a really, really cool, really cool documentary on just kind of like him as an artist. And it kind of made me appreciate him more. Because I obviously I'd love for him to still be in Blink, and I hope he comes back sometime. But I want them to come back, and I want him to play with Travis and Mark. I don't want it to come back when one of them is gone. It's like a tribute type stuff, and I would love for him to come back. I want him to work out his differences, but I don't know if it'll happen. But that's a whole nother story. But this one, it doesn't really talk about this one. This one is just kind of about him as an artist, and it kind of gave me a better perspective, because it's not like it's one of those things. I felt like when he left, everyone kind of thought like, oh, Tom's a dick, Tom's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. But I honestly think he was just leaving because he wanted to challenge himself more and wanted to make himself a better artist. And, you can't fault the guy for wanting to do that. And it kind of made me appreciate him a little bit more after watching that. And I've watched it a couple times, and it's really good. I really enjoy it. If you like, even if you just like about pedals, learning about how those are made and that kind of stuff, and how he got his sounds. He has a sound guy that he's had, I think, since the Untitled album for Blink. And it's just cool how he thinks about making music. So that's my number one.
Right on. I've heard even for the last 5-6 years that sound is the most important thing as a musician. You need to make your own sound. You need to be unique. And Tom DeLonge, that's what he was trying to do in all those years, was be a unique guitar player. And he accomplished it, like you said,
Hmm.
Angels and Airwaves, and going on doing, or Boxcar Racer was first,
Yeah,
correct?
Boxcar Racer was
And then
first.
Angel and Airwaves. And like, that's what it's all about, is making yourself unique. Whether you're playing the same notes and the same whatever, if you can create it and make it your own sound, that's what's the most important. And I'm pretty sure we mentioned this in our all about music episode, where we talked about how we're both musicians. We both played music for quite a long time. Me maybe a little bit longer than you, but like I've been a drummer forever, and it's hard as a drummer to make your own sound, because you
Yeah.
have the same sounds no matter what you hit. As a guitar player, as a bass player, as a violin player, as a cello player, you have the opportunity to distort and make different noises with your instruments. And to me, that's important for a musician, is to be able to go in and take your instrument and make it something unique to you. And I feel like that's what he did through all those years, whether he was in Blink or either of the other bands. He was always trying to make himself sound different and make him sound like him. So
Yeah, I think that was the one thing. It's kind of like he stopped lying to himself, and
yeah,
you know, and you could go back, and I'm probably a bit of a Blink fanatic, but um
nah,
I've gone back I've gone back and like listened to like the evolution of Adam's song or something like that, and just listening to that music when it was first played to when Tom left the band and all the live shows, and it just seemed like he was just getting bored with Blink, and nothing wrong with that, but I think he did the right thing by, if he wasn't going to have everything into it, especially if he wasn't going to have his quote unquote control, because I think the Neighborhoods album, it gets crapped on a lot because it's not a typical Blink album with, messing around, joking, songs
yeah,
about hooking up and girls and stuff like that, but I thought it was a very mature album, and I thought they did a really good job of blending the sound of Blink and Angels and Airwaves,
yeah,
and I enjoy that album. So I thought they were on the right pace, and then stuff happens.
stuff happens.
So
That's
yeah,
right.
I agree. I think Tom made the right choice by ultimately leaving and doing his own thing, and I think it worked out for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's key to being successful, is to go to know when to leave and do your own thing and figure it out.
Yep.
So, Colton, that was a good list. I
Yeah. Oh,
mean,
thank you. I like yours.
we kind of went on complete opposite spectrums. Obviously, you
Oh,
went all documentaries. I went all pretty much scripted dramas slash music movies, and your documentaries. But I mean, we had talked about this beforehand. You told me you were going to do a lot of documentaries, which might have led me unconsciously to choose movies that weren't documentaries. But still, I think it was a good list, and we
yeah.
both did a good job. And music's important to both of us. We've talked about this before. We both love music. We both listen to a lot of different music. Me being more of a metalhead, Colton being more of that, I'd say, pop punk kind of vibe. But
Crappy pop punk.
yeah, and we both love our music, and we both love when we can watch something that has to do with music. And it was fun to go through a list of the movies that we both seen that really, or documentaries that
Oh,
really infected us and affected us as people. So yeah, good list. I like it.
good job, brother.
Yeah. All right, you ready to get out of here?
Dude, I am ready.
So everybody, upcoming Call Guys stuff. We here in a few weeks we have Conrad John coming on for an interview. We have some really cool ideas for episodes coming up that are going to be a little different than what we've done here in the past. We have some kind of similar things, some different things. So it's going to be fun to mix it up a little bit. We have an interview coming up with Conrad John. We have, a Halloween episode that we've kind of worked on planning out with Tusop, Team
What
Tejas.
up?
And, it's on top of just messing around with that and having a good time. We're excited to do some fun things on this podcast. And, this is episode 24, and we're working on getting to 50, 52, which will be the end of the first year of the Call Guys. And we're just excited to see what comes up in the next, 50 episodes. So, we want to thank you all for listening to the Call Guys podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcast. You can also find us on all of your social media accounts, whether that be Facebook at facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram at thecallguys, and TikTok at thecallguyspodcast. Also, like at the beginning of the episode, we mentioned that we have had a bunch of people email us their top fives, top tens, episode ideas.
Keep them
If
coming.
you-
Keep them coming.
Exactly. If you have anything you want us to talk about, or you just want to send us your lists, top 10 Marvel movies, top 3 musicals, top 5 sports movies, anything you want to send to us, we will go over it on the Call Guys podcast. You can send those emails to thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com.
I probably need to make a note. I should make a flyer for that.
I think you should just thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. Boom, it's right there on the screen. Don't even have to put it in post.
Add it to my
I need to start
notes.
doing that again. For like an episode or two, I was putting it in there where it said thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. I should start doing that again. Also, while you're online, go check out our merch store, thecallguyspodcaststore.com. You can go there, buy shirts, tank tops, anything you want to look at on there. If you want to support us, go ahead and buy a shirt for us and wear it around. Tell your friends. Let them know what you think of the Call Guys podcast. And then while you're at it, go check out all of the other podcasts under the Golden Mojo umbrella, whether that be the Golden Image Podcast at facebook.com/Golden Image Podcast, the Murdnerds Podcast at facebook.com/Murdnerds, the Indiana Chiefs Fans Podcast, which Colton went on a rant. Emperor, it's time to fire back. If you got anything to say to Colton, hit him back with your rant. Facebook.com/IN Chiefs Fans Pod if you want to go check them out. And then
be warned.
Be warned. And then finally, the United States of Paranormal podcast at facebook.com/United States of Paranormal. I just mentioned them. We are working with Logan, Matt, and Bose on getting a Halloween episode planned out where we're going to talk with them on their podcast about spooky stories. And then they're going to come on to the Call Guys and talk about horror films, scary movies, whatever it is that we can come up with to talk about with the boys from Team Tejas and the United States of Paranormal and the Call Guys crossover. I am excited for that episode. I've been listening to them. I've been listening to Team Boozers. They have done really well. I mentioned it before, but congratulations to them on reaching over 10,000 downloads. That's amazing.
That is awesome.
I mean, they put in the work. They've done really, really good work, and their stuff is just good. So I'm excited for them. They're excited for us. They want to help us out. We want to help them out. So everybody that gets a chance, go over and check out the United States Paranormal, facebook.com/United States Paranormal. You can get them wherever you get your podcasts, along with any of the other podcasts under the Golden Mojo Entertainment umbrella. That's right. Go check them out. That's right. Everybody, Colton.
Yes, brother.
And everybody, do you have anything to add?
Man, I mean, you kill it every time, man. I'm gonna take it away from you one of these days because you read all the Emperor you want to talk about, just slides those over to you. Hey, you got my socials? Hey, you got my socials?
Yep. Golden Image Podcast is not my thing. The Indiana Chiefs Fans Podcast is not my thing. And I do have it written down next to me. But if you're watching YouTube, I don't think I actually even ever look at it anymore.
I don't think you do anymore.
It's just there. But
so yeah, one of these times I'm gonna take it away from you.
I'll let you. I will let
I know you
do it.
will.
I would love to hear you just go for the ringer on that because,
I will be like this the entire time.
yeah.
Thank you
Dude.
for watching the Call Guys podcast.
I have trained myself. Like, I have all the socials memorized. I have all the emails memorized. Like, it is just, my brain hurts, to
If
be
you want
honest
to
with
email the Murdnerds, listen to their show.
That's right. Everybody, I want to thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. We will see you next time.